we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me get into it right now, because that's what you all came here for, right? All right. Yeah, in the group chat. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Cool. All right. So this webinar is about top mistakes when buying your first home, Millennial Edition. All right. So I am the lead consultant and owner of Cardinal Smith Consulting. I'm Ari. You can reach me via email at info@cardinal-smith.com or visit us at cardinal-smith.com. Okay. So where do we begin, right? So we're going to break it down in 4 really easy categories, all right? The first one is affordability, all right? How much can I really buy for my budget, all right? Second thing we're going to break down is credit. What credit score do I need to qualify for a mortgage? The third category is your dream team, which are the type of professionals you need to work with and have on deck when you buy a first home. The fourth one is the real deal, the purchasing home buying process. All right, we're going to go into that in depth because HGTV definitely doesn't tell you about that part. All right, so let's talk about affordability. How much home can you really afford? So in the industry, they usually say that you don't want your mortgage payment to be more than 30% of your monthly income after taxes, right? So for example, if you make $3,000 a month after taxes, like that's your take-home pay, if you take 30% of that, that's 900 bucks, meaning you shouldn't purchase a home with a mortgage that's going to be more than 900 bucks a month. Okay. And that's just for example, everybody's income is different. The other thing about affordability is this 20% down payment myth. Everybody thinks, or a lot of people think, that you have to put at least 20% down to purchase a home or to get a mortgage. Well, if you live in areas that are really expensive, like California or New York, houses are $1 million plus. 20% of that is $200,000. I can guarantee you a lot of us don't have that type of money to put down, right? So what you can do is there are loans out there called FHA loans, okay? So what you can do with those loans is you can put down 3.5% down. That's the least amount that you can put down for a down payment, which is much more manageable than trying to put 20% down on property. So if you're one of those folks that don't have a lot of money saved up, that's probably a good mortgage loan to go with. It's called a FHA loan. All right. Other thing is, for those of you that are on the low to moderate income side, there's actually first-time home buyer grants out there that the government is giving you. They're literally giving you money to put toward your down payment so that you can afford a home. It's crazy. It's so nuts. It differs per state, but in Illinois, for example, they can give you up to $6,000 toward your down payment, and all you got to do is put $1,000 down. But there's income requirements for that. So there's so many programs out there, but that's just an example of how you can really truly afford a home. Okay. The third thing you want to think about when it comes to affordability is your family obligations. Some of you may have a full-blown family, a wife, a husband, and children. So the house or apartment you may be staying in now, maybe you want to add to your family. So you might want to take that into consideration too when you think about the type of home that you want. Or on top of that, let's say that you have other family members living with you, whether it be your mother or your father or your grandmother or your auntie. Just kind of take that into consideration when you think about affordability. And also, if you're fortunate to be in a dual income situation, keep in mind, if one of you loses your job, can you afford your home still on one person's income? So those are conversations you really have to think about and have, that most people doesn't even cross their mind until they foreclose on their home because somebody lost their job. Okay, so you really got to like future plan that stuff. The fourth thing is online resources. So if you're not the greatest at math, it wasn't your strength in college, no big deal. There's so many mortgage calculators. All you have to figure out is the affordability part on the left. Take your monthly income times 30% and whatever that number is, plug that into a mortgage calculator. Say, hey, if I can only afford $900 a month, what does that mean as far as the max price I need to look for on a home, right? So those mortgage calculators can help you figure that out. So when you go home buying, you know what you can truly afford. All right. So the next topic is credit. What credit score do you need to qualify for a mortgage? All right. So those of you that have heard the 444 album definitely know this meme in the middle. So JC said, you want to know what's more important than throwing away money at the strip club? The friends are like, what? And JC's like, credit. Whoa, we see the light. Oh, snap. We got to get on it. So credit, some of us don't know our credit scores, or we may know one of them, right? So if you know your credit, that's great. But a lot of us think that we need to get a 750 or above to even apply for a mortgage, which is definitely not true. You do not need a 700 something credit score to get a mortgage, all right? Like I said before, the FHA loans in particular are made for people with moderate to decent credit that don't have a lot of money to put down. They're made to be affordable, all right? So for FHA loans, for example, the minimum credit score you need is a 620. Yeah, that's right, at least a 620. If you have at least a 620, most likely you're going to get approved. Mind you, you have to have savings and stuff like that. But yeah, you have a 600 something credit score, you can get a mortgage. All right. So another thing is, some people have asked, well, I have student loans, I have credit cards, I have other debts, like, will they deny me if I have all these other things that I have to pay off? It depends on your situation, right? Like, for example, if you're actually paying on those student loans and they're not in default, and you're paying on time, that's actually good for your credit. That's a good thing. If you have credit cards and you're using more than 30% of the maximum balance, that's a bad thing. So before you even apply for a mortgage, you've got to clean up your credit, because they're gonna pull your credit report. Okay. And since there's 3 credit score bureaus, some mortgages pull from one credit bureau and not the other. So you want to check all 3 scores to make sure the number is close, because all of the numbers won't be exactly the same, because some companies don't report to every bureau, so they'll be a little bit off. But if they're like 30, 40, 50 points in difference, that's a big deal, and you've got to check on that and clean that up. So there are really, really free and easy credit monitoring apps out there that you can get for your iPhone or your Android. There's Credit Karma, there's Credit Sesame, and Credit.com. Depending on what type of phone you have, iOS or Android, you can get like either one of the apps or the other apps, stuff like that. So that's a really good starting point. You got to first find out what your credit scores are. And if they're not at least in the 600s, you got to clean that stuff up before you get a mortgage. Okay. Third thing, your dream team. So these are the type of professionals that you pretty much need to hire to help you through this process. So on your dream team, who do you need to have? So I break it down as a trifecta. There's three main people that you really need to search for and have on your team. All right. The first one is a realtor or a real estate agent. Okay. Pretty much the same thing. So what this person does is you tell them the type of home you're looking for, and they go out and they find these listings for you, and you either say, yes, I'm interested, let's go see it, or you say, nah, it's not really what I'm looking for, and you guys figure it out and try to figure out, better listings. So the person sets up the listings for you, and they also set up the appointments for you. You shouldn't be playing secretary to yourself. They should be doing the work. And the great thing about it is they work for you, but you don't pay them anything. Buyers do not pay real estate agents or realtors. Their pay comes out of the seller's pocket. Okay? It comes out of the seller's pocket. So you should never, ever pay for a real estate agent or a realtor. If they try to get you to pay for them, that's a scam. Run in the other direction. Okay? So a realtor / real estate agent is the person that you're going to go with looking for these houses, and that's going to really help you find your dream home. All right? The second person you need in your trifecta is a loan officer. Now, usually most people get a mortgage through whoever they bank with, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, whoever. So whoever you decide to apply with your mortgage with, you're going to get assigned a loan officer. Sometimes these people are actually in the bank, so you can physically talk to them. Sometimes they're over the phone, like Quicken Loans. So it really depends. But either way, your loan officer is your go-to person, the point of contact for your mortgage for the entire process. Okay? So they're the ones that are going to give you all this paperwork and that are going to request your tax forms, your income, all this stuff from you. That's what your loan officer is there for. And I guarantee you, you will not understand most of the documents your loan officer sends you. Nobody teaches you this stuff. So if you have questions, do not ever feel like you are bugging your loan officer. This is what they do for a living. So if you do not understand a document that you're supposed to sign, ask them. Email them, get them on the phone, ask them so you understand. Because at the end of the day, this is a business transaction that is in your name. So you need to fully understand what you're signing. Okay? The third person you need is a real estate attorney. Not like a criminal attorney to get you off, but a real estate attorney. Okay? So what a real estate attorney is, depending on the state you live in, sometimes this is not mandatory to have. Like in Florida, you can purchase a home and you don't need a real estate attorney involved at all, which is kind of shocking and surprising, because the reason why you really want one is for many reasons. So one of them is, let's say you buy a pre-owned property, a pre-owned home. And let's say that it's been sitting on the market for a good 2 or 3 years. And guess what? Nobody's paid taxes on that property because nobody's lived there. So who gets to pay those back taxes? You. You do. You got to pay those back taxes. But if you don't have a real estate agent to look into the property and do their due diligence, come closing time, you won't know that. And you'll get a bill from the county for 3 years of back taxes. So that is a major reason why you need a real estate attorney. What they do is they look into what's called liens on the property, not like shoulder lien, but L-I-E-N, lien. What that means is any money that's owed on the property, like back taxes, for example. They do their due diligence to look into things that might surprise you for your best interest. They go through county records. They go to make sure the property lines are where they're supposed to be, because sometimes people don't calculate them correctly. So all that stuff, they take care of for you, so you don't have surprises come closing day. Real estate agents, real estate attorneys are worth their weight in gold. And usually they're not as expensive as people think they are. They're usually about $300 to $700, probably up to $1,000 depending on your area. But the median price is about $500. And that can save you a lot of money. All right. So your trifecta is a real estate agent, your loan officer, and your real estate attorney. Okay. Now, what you should and should not pay for. Again, you don't pay for your real estate agent services. You don't pay your loan officer because they get paid off of a percentage of your mortgage, when the bank sells it to you. What you do pay for is your real estate attorney. You do pay a fee for them, and it's usually just a flat fee. Okay? The best way to find your dream team is relationships. Most of you have people that you know that have bought a home, or maybe you know somebody that is a realtor. Definitely reach out to your relationships first before hopping on the internet, okay? Because it's really good to work with people that you know that come highly recommended, as opposed to kind of shooting in the dark trying to hire somebody that might not click with you, okay? Because at the end of the day, they're searching for your dream home, all right? Let's go on to the real deal, purchasing a home, how the process works, okay? We're almost there. All right, so what's involved in purchasing a home, right? Nobody tells us what's involved. I'm about to tell you what's involved, because when I got into it, I was like, holy, nobody told me this stuff. So the first thing you want to do is research that shit. And what I mean by that is, when you're searching for a home, really look at the neighborhood you're searching in. Look at the crime rates. If you have children or plan on having children, look at the school districts. Look at what the neighborhood looks like, at home values. Are they increasing or decreasing? Look at county taxes. Really research it so you know what you're going into, because a home usually is a long-term investment, okay? Really research the mess out of it. Second thing is, when you finally decided, hey, I want a home here, okay, then you got to worry about the financial part, right? Which is down payment, closing costs, and moving expenses. This is what catches people off guard, all right? So your down payment, like I said, depending on what type of loan you get, conventional is 20%, and FHA is as low as 3.5. You take the down payment of whatever your max budget is, and you put that aside in savings, right? Closing costs are usually about half of your down payment. So you got to put that aside. And you really don't know closing costs till closing day, which is really frustrating. Like for me, I wanted a set number so I knew exactly how much to save and bring to closing. When my loan officer couldn't give me a closing cost number, it was so frustrating. So this is what they don't tell you. They give you an estimate of closing costs, but they truly won't know till closing day. So a good tip, take half of your down payment, estimate that to be your closing costs, okay? And then moving expenses. Very few people even think about this. Yeah, you bought a home, you got the keys, but you got to get a moving truck, you got to pack movers, you got to get all this stuff going, and maybe even purchase new furniture if you're moving into a bigger space. Furniture isn't cheap unless you go to IKEA, but IKEA usually isn't that cheap these days either. So calculate that into your whole home purchase. All right, don't leave it out, because it will catch you off guard if you don't think about it. Third thing is, after you figured out how much you need to save and you've got it, you have to get it. Because if you try to apply for a mortgage and you don't have that money stacked away, you're going to get denied. I'll tell you that right now. Because when you apply for a mortgage to get a pre-approval, they're going to pull your bank statements and your savings and your tax returns. Because what they're trying to see is if you can afford your home. So if you don't have that money stacked up and ready to buy now, the mortgage company is going to look at you crazy like, do you have a deal that's in the works that you're waiting on? They're going to look at you crazy, all right? So before you even apply for a mortgage, get your finances and your credit in order, okay? Fourth thing is, after you get your mortgage pre-approval, you can put your dream team to work. You get your real estate agent out there, you look at listings, you shop for homes. Then when you make an offer and you have them accept it, then that's when the rest of your dream team gets put into work. Your real estate attorney looks into the property, and your loan officer goes to underwriting to get this mortgage written up for you. And then you go to closing, you write your check, and you get keys to your home, right? Sounds pretty easy, right? Well, this is what they don't tell you after your offer gets accepted, which actually happened to me personally. After your offer gets accepted, that doesn't mean you really have the home, okay? It kind of is in like reserve mode. So after your offer gets accepted, what happens is your real estate agent orders an appraisal of the property, right? So a third-party appraiser comes out, looks at the property, and pretty much tells you, yeah, your home is worth this much money. Okay? Why is that important? Well, it protects sellers from paying too much or somebody putting something on the market at a ridiculous price when it's not worth that value. All right? So, for example, my home that I bought was listed at $260,000. I put in an offer and it got accepted for $270,000. So that means I was going to pay $270,000 for my property. But once the appraiser came in and took a look around, they valued the property at $250,000. 250 is a lot less than 270. So why would I pay $270,000 for a property that's worth $250,000? That's insane. So what happened is I went to my real estate attorney and I said, hey, renegotiate with the seller for a cheaper price because this home is worth $270,000. So sure enough, he did, and we settled on $254,000. And I think the seller paid for some closing costs. So that appraisal is a point where you might have to renegotiate with the seller depending on what happens. Okay? The second part is inspection. That's when a person comes, inspects the electrical, the plumbing, the walls, the windows to make sure everything's up to code. All right? If for some reason a major defect gets found, like for example, in my home, they renovated my building completely, but they did not install the electrical correctly, and it was against code. I'm guessing they were trying to short corners or whatever. Regardless, they messed up the electrical. So what happens is when the inspector found it, he put that on his report. And what the seller then had to do was fix the electrical out of their money. And we went back to the drawing board and agreed that until they fixed the electrical, I would not sign closing papers. So things can happen along the way, and that's where homeowners can get stressed out. But don't get stressed out. Know what to expect. After you sign the deal, you're going to get your home appraised and inspected. So if you go through those two things and you're good, you're almost at the home stretch. You get to closing, you sign the paperwork, and you get your keys. All right? So Do you all remember everything that we just went over right now? You guys remember? I don't hear you guys in the chat. You guys are so quiet. So, number one, we talked about affordability, right? And then two was credit. Three was your dream team. And four was the real deal. Okay? All right. And here's a snapshot to go over the little tidbits right there.